Hi, Mike Doran here. I want to talk a little bit about what's called the QBO, or the quasi-biennial oscillation. It's an upper level wind in the tropics. Usually it's measured at 30 or 50 millibars, and it's significant to be able to predict when big tropical storms are going to occur. This year it was applicable with the big Category 5 super typhoon that existed just last week in the West Pacific, right in the middle of a very quiet season when the global measure of storms, called ACE, was very, very low. And I've made comment before that that's related to the spotless days, the low solar activity and sunspots from an electric standpoint. But I want to talk a little bit about the QBO and what it is and why it's interesting from the standpoint of predicting tropical storms. It's been used as a correlative sensitive to tropical activities by Dr. Gray for decades, and in his long-range tropical storm forecasts he would one of the factors that he would point to is the QBO, and it's an index, it's not a specific wind, but when the index was negative, that's when there would be an increased chance of tropical storm activity according to his statistics. In the 60s, the seminal paper on the QBO was written by Dr. Holtzman and Dr. Lenzine. Dr. Lenzine is famous for being George W. Bush's climatology teacher in the early part of his administration, and he's a renowned quote-unquote skeptic. Dr. Holtzman passed away in 2003 and has written textbooks. The seminal paper that they wrote discussed in a mathematical way a gravity wave, how this cycle or this oscillation reverses from the top of the atmosphere down, and the forcing that they surmise would cause this is gravity waves. Well, the problem is they predicted mathematically in the 60s with their paper a very symmetrical top-down movement from gravity waves. The reality is, as this wind is actually mapped, is it's not symmetrical, and it's correlated with these big storms. My view is the only other top-down type of forcing that would work here would be electrostatics, where again you have these capacitive couplings. They couple over the ocean, not over land, because land is much more resistive. And when they do, it moves ozone, it moves electrical parts of the atmosphere, and causes subsidence, causes changes in cloud behaviors. So this is why the big super typhoon could occur, and the only reasonable explanation, given all other conditions, is an electric sponge.